Now to speak on how to build sustainable business in Nigeria is a financial expert, Kolawole Kainde. Thank you for coming on the program.
Hello, Adams. It's also
It's actually Musa.
Musa. How are you today? It's a pleasure to be here once again. Good morning, Nigerians, and I wish everyone a wonderful time watching Business
Okay,
Express.
okay. Let's just delve into the subject matter. Well, you've observed the situation the country is going to, most especially when you look at inflation and other challenges, economic challenges. But I believe the government is actually working to address some of these challenges. But what does it take to really start a sustainable, or what will it take for someone when he's starting a business to actually also think of how to make it sustainable in the short and long run?
Thank you, Musa. I can see that there are two issues that I will look at. We look at the context and also the perspective. You started with the context. What is the current challenges that we face today? You mentioned it. Number one is inflation. And of course, why do we have inflation? The reason why we have inflation is because the value of the naira has really dropped. That means it has impacted the purchasing power of the people. The other thing is that there is rising energy cost, and that means that the cost of doing business has also increased, thereby transferring all costs to the final consumer. You know, I'm sure if I ask you how long it took you to get to office today, probably you had to go to the filling station to buy fuel. But hey, guess what? Today, as I was driving, the number of cars you even find in the filling stations are thinning out every day. That what's the perspective? The perspective is, do you see your glass half empty or half full? I like to see my glass half full. So you're talking about sustainability. Let's decompartmentalize it. Sustain something that is able. Do you have the ability to sustain the project or the enterprise you want to do? I think what we need to look at is our business model, looking at the realities that we find: rising energy costs and huge level of unemployment, and ability to have access to forex, which has increased the cost of importation. If you run a business that is import dependent, that means that you're going to spend so much money doing that. Now, in terms of sustainability, how do you find alternatives in the local market, in the local economy, to drive all this conversation? So I think we'll start from there. And what are the ways that you need to do this? You need to look at your value proposition again. The reality of today is that the purchasing power of people has dropped, but you find out that businesses that are in the essential service provision space are making more money than people that.
How do they navigate through these hard times?
You know, looking at the population of the country, you find out that people between the ages of probably 12 to 35 form about 65% or so of the economy. So any need that has to do with anything that has to do with their needs sell. So that's why you see today people are feeding in spite of the rising cost of food. People are clothing, you know, you need to you need to pay for rent and do all of those things. So if you work within that value chain, you can probably run a sustainable businesses. But in areas whereby you have to deal with manufacturing or compete with businesses that are bringing up finished goods from out of the country, then you have to look at your pricing. We always know that in business, price war is the last thing you want to fight, and that takes us to even the current issue happening in the oil market space. You find the oil marketers and the Dangote refinery haggling for who to create the market, who to be a market leader and a market follower. So there's so many issues to look at.
Okay, as much as one wants to establish a sustainable business, we've seen over time that businesses fail in the country. Could you just give us a picture as to why we tend to have failure in most businesses?
There are 1001 reasons why businesses fail. And one of the reasons why businesses fail in Nigeria is because of the rising cost of doing business. And it's a bundled thing. You talk about the rising cost of regulatory compliance. So many compliance certificates have become too pricey. So that means if you don't even have those regulatory requirements, you can't even venture into that business. So let's assume that you've started the business and you have to ensure that you do your regulatory, you comply. If you can't get that done, then of course that business will fail. Another thing is weak corporate governance. Access to credit is also another one, and most importantly, poor business practices, most especially in waste, and that's one of the major reasons why businesses fail in Nigeria.
Okay, how crucial is it to recognize how different economic cycles influence decisions when you talk about sales, when you talk about investment, profit margin, credit, inventory, and so on?
Well, when you talk about what are the components or areas that you look at when you talk about probably intervening in a business, you want to look at the management, you want to look at the operations, you want to look at human resource, you also want to look at sales and marketing that you really mentioned, and most importantly, you want to look at finance. Access to finance still remains number one challenge for businesses today. As that today, the cost of capital is carrying a lot of businesses, and it's reducing access to credit. So, if your cost of capital is high, it erodes your profits. And no matter how much you try, you can't outprice yourself out of the market. You still have to operate based on the purchasing power of the people. That means the target market that needs your goods or services.
But at this point in time, when you look at, just as we talked about the economic challenges and things like that, just you mentioned cost of doing business, which particular sector do you think is most attractive if maybe one wants to really start business? I mean, you should just maybe key into that particular sector and see how you could take advantage of things.
Okay, there are two major things. If you look at the last report on our GDP growth, a 3.9% growth, which was, of course, largely inflationary growth, induced growth, you find out that the service sector was a major player. And of course, the reason why the service sector is growing is because the cost of entry for some of these businesses is much more limited. And because the service sector leverages on technology a lot, we find out that it's so easy to do. And in the service industry, there are also shared services. You talk about shared technology. You talk about also the ability for renewable practices, such as access to probably alternative energy like solar. You have access to the creative industry. Today the creative industry is a major driver of employment for youths, and also a major driver of income for youths. Today, Nigerians are being paid United States dollars from Nigeria just for the services that they render, whether it's a knowledge-driven service, and probably it's a product-driven service, or an utility-driven service. So the service sector is key. Another thing that the government has worked on is the agricultural sector. Of course, we know that insecurity still continues to be a major challenge for our stunted agricultural revolution. But we feel that the federal government is responding to that. Of course, I'm sure over the course of the week, we've had issues of bandits being neutralized and all that. That builds confidence and gives people the opportunity to go back to the farm and start the enterprise. Rural urban migration has also caused the departure of people going from agri to other services. You find people involved in tricycles and a motorbike, the Okadas and the Keke Napeps. These are the people that were initially in the farm, because one, they've made farming not unattractive and scary. You can't see reports of people dying in the farms, and people will go to the farm. There has to be a trust, and there has to be continuous updates on the activities of government in curbing insecurity. And the government is quite doing a whole lot in that space.
Where is the place of technology in this whole thing? Because actually we talked about how the cost of doing business and other economic factors. How does technology help to reduce most of these things? I mean, in terms of cost, in terms of finance or something. You have a little money. How can you key into technology? Is there any hope that the new technologies that we have seen being developed in recent times will actually help somehow reduce the cost of doing business?
Yes, technology is quite important and very necessary, and I'll give you just a basic basic example. One of the basic example is the mobile phone. The mobile phone has been able to amass or aggregate so many capabilities that today you could shoot a video production right from the comfort of your room. That will have cost you a fortune before, and the youths have leveraged extensively on that. Yeah, the cost of technology in the short term might be very expensive, but on the long term, it's really much more sustainable. So technology is good, and in terms of even as in like the Bank of Industry, they use technology for credit creation, even monitoring and administration. And I stumbled on a video recording yesterday. There was a 3-year-old boy that got lost in a cornfield of about 120 kilometers, and they were looking for him. Guess how they found the boy? There was a thermal drone that was used to do a heat map to ensure that they could locate the boy. And of course, they found the boy, and it was safe when he found it. So and we have capacity for and capabilities for that. I think Nigerian youths and even the government should start to support technological innovation and ensure that we come up with this kind of technologies that can improve the economy and also improve and secure lives and property.
I'm sure you've been following the federal government's reforms and other initiatives to somehow address some of these challenges. But the thing here is, where do you think they should strengthen, focus so that they can eliminate those challenges that most businesses face today in Nigeria?
Okay, I think one of the major challenges that the government will need to deal with today is the challenge of misinformation and disinformation. And that has really created a distrust between the government and the governed. So when there is a continuous communication, transparency and openness of the government, it builds trust. And when the government tries to achieve and adhere to the social contract, it builds people's will to come out and do business. The impact of the social contract enablement and achievement is critical to the growth and the development of our space. No matter the intervention and the reforms that the government have done, reforms in agriculture. Today, there is a committee on addressing the tax issues that have been bedeviling us. And you find it even today we have a refinery in Nigeria so that they could reduce the cost of access to FX and reduce the pressure on Naira. So these are reforms, but they're taking a whole lot to materialize. Today, someone was mentioning that the rates of the inflation rates dropped from about 35 to 32%, but the cost of goods are still going. I said, if you understand what it means by inflationary, that means instead of it to grow at 30, continue to grow at 35%, it's now growing at 32. It's not as if the cost of goods are not growing, but they are not growing at the higher rate that they were going. By the time things will normalize, but it takes a whole lot of time. I would want to let Nigerians know that no matter what happens, we're always going to go overcome it, because we are a resilient nation.
Okay, beautiful. Kolawole Kainde, financial expert. It's been a pleasure sharing your thought with us.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too. And now let's head to the currency market where the naira, let's see how the naira is exchanging for the currencies. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching Business Express. We hope to see you. Let's do this thing. Let's do it again tomorrow. Thanks for watching.